Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining our MBA with Aviation Management webinar. My name is Rena Flood and I'm the Programme Director here at MTU, Munster Technological University, and I'm going to take you through our session today. As I said, my name is Rena Flood. Just a little bit of background about me. I'm a lecturer here at MTU, Munster Tech University, for 6 years, and I'm the Programme Director. We have another programme, which is our BA in International Business with Aviation Studies, and I was the lead on that. And we had a lot of students looking to continue their studies with us and to get an MBA, and that's kind of where the idea for this programme developed. So I was involved in designing the programme, and now I'm the Programme Director, and you may have me as a lecturer, but it's on an elective, so you may not either. But I would be your main point of contact the whole way through the degree either way. So what we're going to go through today, I've already done a little welcome. I'm going to introduce you to MTU because you may or may not be familiar with Munster Technological University and who we are and what we do. I'll give you a very top line overview of the School of Business then, which is where this degree program sits within MTU. And then I'm going to give you an introduction to the degree, which is what you're here for. We'll look at the program structure, the assessment structure, and the application procedure. We'll cover some frequently asked questions. I suppose I'm used to kind of receiving the queries, so I've tried to collate the most frequently asked questions, but I will open the floor for any further questions as well. So if you're there with a question, please feel free to ask. Just drop it in the chat, and I will address it as soon as I see it, okay? So I suppose first off, why an MBA? The first thing, this is a Master's in Business Administration with Aviation Management. Any MBA or Master's in Business Administration is really about becoming a strategic expert, okay? Why companies want to hire people with MBA is because they know that they've spent some time focusing on strategy, learning strategic theories and models, but also learning how to apply those theories and models. And really what people with an MBA should be good at is walking into a company or a department or looking at a product or a project and really being able to step back, look at the bigger picture, look at what's going on in the environment, look at what their competitors are doing, and develop a strategy, a successful, winning, effective, and efficient strategy that will lead that company on towards success. Okay, so you're getting an MBA as a Master's in Business Administration, and you do get a deep understanding of the fundamental elements of business. So you have, modules on finance, human resource, leadership, I'm trying to think, like contemporary issues, but throughout the whole thing, there's kind of a strong focus on strategy. There's a mandatory module on corporate strategy, which is weighted more. So it's more, it kind of weighs more, has more percentage towards it than other modules. And then a lot of your other modules then will pull on that information. They'll be looking for you to develop strategies within certain areas. So why, I suppose that's what you should be looking to get from a degree. And particularly, I suppose it's then with aviation management, it is adding on an expertise within the aviation sector. So you have that lovely business fundamentals with a really strategic overview, but with a really clear focus on the aviation sector. So I'll go through the modules later, but almost half of them are aviation specific. The others are general business ones that will look at other industries, but the aviation industry as well. But it's really good to look at other industries because that's that's one of the key things that we do in business and business theories, because what works really well in one industry, can we apply it here, and how would that work? What would it look like in our industry, or why wouldn't it work? So that's really interesting. But there is, almost half the modules are aviation focused, and then with any master's, you have a thesis and you get to choose that focal point for your thesis. And if you're interested in the aviation industry and you want to work within the aviation industry, you're most likely going to choose that your thesis will be aviation focused. It doesn't have to be, that's your choice, but we're kind of assuming that you're doing this degree, that's what you want. So yeah, I suppose you most likely already work within the aviation industry and have a lot of expertise, but this will give you, expertise in areas that maybe aren't your typical area, and just delve further into the business side of all of that as well. Okay. So, you know, the aviation industry is a fascinating industry. It's got really strong growth potential over the next, you know, couple of decades, but there is going to be disruption. Okay. So, you know, there's such technological disruption going on. There's such political disruption going on. There's environmental disruption going on. And what that means is that there is a real need for individuals with this skill set. Okay. So a clear expertise in the aviation sector, both from experience but also theoretical, and that brilliant strategic in analysis and ability as well. So as I said, I was going to introduce you to who NTU are. Okay, so I'm just going to, sorry, I'm just messing with my settings now. I have to share my sound. I have a really super short video here that'll just give you a flavor of what we do at NTU. It's extremely broad and vast, but it just gives you an idea of who you'd be a part of if you attended. No, so as I said, you know, that was just a flavor. You may or may not be familiar. So Munster Tech University is based in the south of Ireland, the southwest of Ireland, it's spread across 2 counties, so County Cork and County Kerry, with 6 campuses. Okay, so we're a very large institution with loads of expertise. Where this degree sits, as I mentioned already, is within the School of Business. So we've over 3,500 students. We've loads of popular programs, including, you know, bachelors in marketing and business information systems, human resource management. We are a technological university, and we're an institute of technology, which means that we have a real ethos of real world work ready graduates. And what that means is that, yes, we cover the theory, but we have a real focus on what does that look like in reality? How is that applied? How do you apply it? And we try to get you to apply it anywhere possible. So if possible, your assessments will be authentic assessments. They might be based on real companies. They might be live cases, so companies might have brought them in. You'll have guest speakers in your classroom where possible. And any theories or anything we're learning, we'll be asking you to apply that, like, well, what does that look like in the real world? Or how does that apply to your organization? Or how could it apply? Okay, we have a substantial suite of master's programs, and online we've been running an MBA in strategy. Pre-COVID, it was in person. Post-COVID, it became online. And that's one of the beauties. So with this course, you will actually join some of the students of the MBA with strategy for some of those general business classes, like this strategy module, etc. I'll tell you more when we go through the program. Obviously, they won't be doing the aviation based, but again, it's lovely because for you as students, you're in a classroom with students from the aviation industry, but also from other industries, and there's a lot of learning there, which makes it more interesting and more adds more depth to the classroom, really. We've been delivering programs online for over 6 years. I've been involved in one myself for 6 years. So pre-COVID, we were already delivering programs online, but obviously with COVID, we've lent into it even more, and we've developed our tools and how we do that. We've a successful focus on the aviation industry now. We now have 3 programs that link, that focus on kind of aviation business. So we have an undergraduate in-person degree, which is Global Business with Pilot Studies. Then we have an online part-time degree program for pilots, which is a BA in International Business with Aviation Studies. And actually, that's where the brainchild for this game is. Now we have the MBA with Aviation Management, which is for anybody working within the aviation sector. Yeah, so I suppose that leads me on there. So I suppose now, so we've been running these programs, I suppose the 2 online part ones, the BA started 6 years ago. So we've had over 300 students with those online business aviation programs. So in 2018, the BA was launched. In 2021, we launched the one I just mentioned there, the Global Business with Pilot Studies, which is a unique program. And then in 2022, we got the MBA approved and accredited and validated. And last year, which is 2023, September 2023, we had our first intake of students who have now just completed their first year, waiting to enter their second year. So they only have one more semester of classes and then their thesis. And I just had a meeting in the last 2 weeks with the external examiner. Really impressed with the quality of the work from the students, like really high level of work. Feedback from the students has been really positive. There's a couple of small kind of things that they want us to improve, but that's always there. But overall, the experience of the first year has been really positive, which we're obviously delighted with. We do have an industry partner, which is AFTA, the Atlantic Flight Training Academy. You may or may not be aware of them. They're a flight training academy based here in Cork. And I suppose for all of those programs, they've been our partner and provided some of our insights and developing and sometimes come as guest speakers, etc. I've already talked a little bit about why we developed this program, but I suppose the very initial development of any of these programs was because we understand the challenges of education, particularly for pilots. So we started working with the industry and key stakeholders, and again, I suppose from that program, the BA with international business, came the idea for the MBA. So we did it all again and engaged with industry, and more industry spread further, not just pilots, but working in different sectors of the aviation industry. And there was a lot of excitement about there being an MBA with aviation management online that was part-time and that was so flexible. So it is a complex program, and an MBA is a serious undertaking, and for time poor people, but we do understand that, and we work to that basis. So why you might be doing this, if you were a pilot, potentially you'd be looking for that MBA to really help you stand out, to progress to very high levels of being a pilot. So for example, as a base captain, or potentially you're looking to sort of transition or semi-transition out of that pilot role to something, a non-flying role in aviation management. Or maybe you're actually looking to transition out of the aviation industry altogether and into a management role in business. Or some people just want a knowledge and skill set to create and or develop their own entrepreneurial venture. If you're working in the aviation industry, but non a pilot, I suppose, it could be that you have an eye on progressing to senior or executive level management. So maybe soon, or maybe in the far future, but you plan to be a CEO, CFO, COO, commercial director, etc. It could just be for your own professional development. You want to just keep learning and improving and taking in new information and moving your ability on. And it could be that you actually have a lot of experience and maybe you're already working in a very senior or executive level, but haven't achieved a degree that recognizes that. And sometimes people want that kind of piece of paper or have that on their CV that, yes, I have the experience, but I also have the academic knowledge and the theory to support that and back that up. And particularly when you're applying for new opportunities or moving on, that can be very strong on your CV. And you could be looking to make a transition into another department or potentially into another industry, and you feel, that having that MBA element might help you do that. So the key features of this program, okay, it is 2 years, okay, done and dusted. It's 2 academic years, okay, so 2 semesters per academic year. So there is no summer, there's no modules run during the summer, okay? It's part-time, fully online. There is no expectation at any stage whatsoever for you to join us in person in MTU or anywhere. There is an elective module, which is an international trip in the second year, which it's a 1-week trip, would count as the whole module. If you could do it and you're interested in doing it, it would be lovely because you actually get to meet your peers from both the MBA with Aviation Management, but also the MBA with Strategy. And it's a really fascinating module. It's not in Ireland, it's an international trip. So you generally go to Brussels and you go, meet different companies and get different talks and stuff. It's really cool. But there are other electives. So if that's not an option for you or you're not interested in it, there's other electives that you can do. Then at the end of the 2 years, when you've graduated and you're getting that piece of paper, we do, like any of our programs, have a graduation ceremony, and you are invited to attend your conferring in person. But again, if that's not possible or you're just not interested, you can watch the conferring online and we will post your certificate to you. So at no stage do you have to come to us. but you are always welcome. Our doors are always open. You are a student of MTU and, you know, can use our library and visit us anytime. Okay. All of your classes, most of your classes will run live. Some might be pre-recorded depending on what's being covered and what's going on at the time. But even the live ones will then be recorded, so you can watch them back in your own time. All of your lecturers are really, like, you know, experienced lecturers, generally with experience in industry as well. So of a really high caliber. Anywhere where it's very aviation heavy, there will be aviation industry experts delivering the content or brought in to deliver parts of the content. So a master's is 90 ECTS, which is European Credit Transfer System. Okay. So within this, we have 15 credits or 3 modules, which are just aviation program. 30 of your credits go towards your thesis, which, as I said, is in your last module of that second year. Okay. And we would encourage that to be aviation focused. 45 of the credits are general business. So the corporate strategy is worth about 10 of those credits. And then you have finance management. Trying to think what else there is off the top of my head. Leadership, there's contemporary issues. Yeah, the one module there for the more. So overall, especially with your thesis being aviation focused, it's a good 50-50 balance. So in your first semester, you start with that exploring corporate strategy module that I've mentioned a couple of times, that's 10 credits. So any of the programs here that are written in bold, I'm pointing at the screen as if you can see it. That's just me being used to being in the classroom. So any of the modules that are written in bold there are mandatory, which means that you have to take them. Where they're not in bold, writing their electives, which means that I think for the first 2 semesters, you get to pick 1 elective. And I think in your semester 3, you have to pick 2 electives. So in semester 1, you'll take exploring corporate strategy and airport operations management, and then 1 finance elective. In semester 2, you take contemporary aviation, government and regulation, and then 1 elective there between economics or IT and analytics. And then in semester 3, you have research methods and aviation leasing principles. And then you have to take 2 electives. You can see there the international trip I mentioned is one of them, but you can still take leadership and organizational behavior, new venture planning, or strategic HRM. And then your last semester is your thesis. So there are no classes whatsoever. You are assigned an advisor. So you'll have meetings with them, but the 2 of you can organize that to your own schedule. So that's, you know, extremely easy and to manage in terms of work life, etc. at that stage. Okay, just in terms of online learning, if you've never been engaged with online learning, we do encourage regular live contact with the lecturer of each module. So as I said, they do deliver most of the lectures live, just as if you were attending in person. We would always encourage you to attend live if possible. So if you're off at that time, we would encourage you to attend. We have had students do courses where they attend everything live. I don't really know how they do that, bar they must be working nights. And we've had students who have never attended a class live and they've watched everything back in recordings and they've done really well. And then most students fall somewhere in between. But I would say I think it's a better educational experience for the student if they can attend some live. It allows you to ask questions. It allows you to interact with your peers. It adds more depth to the class. It's more interesting for you as a learner generally. And generally it's more interesting, I'm not going to lie, for the lecturer too. There's some people there to talk to and they're not just talking to themselves. It's up to the lecturer to kind of have a nice variety of content and keep it interesting. They will be mindful of the fact that you're doing this online and that, you know, they won't need to change it up. The learning platforms we use are super user friendly and really flexible. So the classes will run via Zoom, just like this webinar, and that you'll access that through a learning platform called Canva, both of which can be used on mobile, tablet, laptop, or desktop. If you can't attend a class, you just watch it back in your own time. It's recorded. All lectures will have interactive elements, questions, chats, activities, bits of learning, bits of videos, etc. I've just mentioned this, the learning platform we use is called Canvas and the lectures are on Zoom. So what we ask of you, so the first 3 semesters are obviously very different. There's lectures, okay, versus the last one. You do need to be mindful that your class time is about 8 to 10 hours per week, okay? You've 12 weeks of that for each of the semesters. But on top of that, then you have additional time for reading, extra study, and completing your assessments. It is demanding, okay, but an MBA is demanding. An MBA is not and never is easy, okay, and quick to achieve, but it is achievable, okay, it's doable. And as I said, the students at the moment are doing really well. We're really impressed with their work. Semester 4 is completely different. That's your thesis, okay, so you have none of that contact class time, but we would be expecting that that time is being spent on your thesis, okay. Your assignments will be assigned by your lecturers. At the start of each semester, you'll be told, you know, what each module involves and what assessments you have, and you'll be given a rough timing for them. You will receive your assessment briefs, you know, at least a month in advance of them being submitted. But if you have any issues, you know, and need things to be pushed out, generally we're as flexible as possible, but you do need to just communicate and talk to us with that. And there is a process, you need to apply for an extension, etc. But that can all be managed. There's no exams, just to manage that expectation, okay? And there's no exams, it's all continuous assessment, so that you don't need to worry about what this looks like. It's a bit complicated looking, but it's just to show you the different types of assessments that there are there. So there's projects, there's written work, there's essays, there's presentations, there's practice or skills evaluation, there's reflective journals. So it's not an exam, and you can see we try to spread it out as much as possible, that things aren't falling on top of one another, where that's fine, okay? As I've kind of just mentioned already, you can get an extension to assignments. There is a system, but it's very quick and easy, and that's fine. If at any stage you know, life just gets busy, things happen to us in lives, or and you need to defer either a module or an entire semester or even an entire year, that's absolutely possible. If it's done in the first half, so before kind of halfway through the semester, there's no financial implication, there's kind of no questions asked, everything just transfers over. If you do it later than that, and if it's not for like a medical reason, so you know the semester's already finished and you're like, oh, I just didn't have time, there will be a charge incurred when we're registering to take the module again. But I suppose if it's for medical reasons, there's never any additional charges or anything. But we've processes for all of that. I would just say, you know, stay in contact with us, stay in communication with us, let us know what's happening, and we can always work with you, okay? So the program is designed to be done in 2 years, but if you're thinking like, I just can't manage that, it's absolutely possible to do it in 3 years or 4 years and just defer things out. I'm currently studying myself, and I'm taking a couple of years extra on that on what was suggested, and that's absolutely fine. One of the students doing it now has already prepared stuff. They're a pilot and got called for command upgrade earlier than expected. They had thought it was happening next year, and next thing it was happening in March, and like kind of from one day to the next it was, oh, I'm fine, everything's going good studying. Oh, I need to defer everything until next year, and that's absolutely fine. Okay, it's not a problem. Again, you just contact us, fill in the forms, and everything's good. So frequently asked questions, is the qualification internationally recognized? Absolutely, okay. So an MBA is probably one of the most internationally recognized degree titles. And on top of that, you know, MTU is a Munster Technological University, is a university. It's ratified by the Irish government, the Higher Education Authority. So we can validate and accredit degree programs ourselves. But in that process, there is an external accreditation part of that, where external people from both Ireland and internationally have to sit on the panel and approve what we're doing. So yes. If you want to go into all of this, this is from the Irish National Framework of Qualifications, okay? So just to let you know where I sit, so an MBA sits in Ireland, it's our National Framework of Qualifications, it's level 9. So you can see that towards the end of that graph here, over here, that's a master's degree, but you can see that EQF, so in European Qualifications Framework, that's considered a level 7. And in the qualifications framework for the European higher education area, that's considered second cycle. Okay, so that might make sense if you're not based in Ireland, which many of you might not be. I hope that makes a bit more sense. And you can go on to, if you go to qqi.ie or Google kind of the Irish National Framework of Qualifications, it'll help you understand that a little bit more. And if you have any questions about that. But if you're wondering, you know, is this internationally recognized? Can I go study further in other institutions? Yes, absolutely. Okay. Is it possible to complete the course in less time? e.g. 2 semesters simultaneously? The answer is no, it's not. Sorry. It's just not feasible. Is it possible to take other modules at CIT or MTU while completing the degree? Technically, yes, but it doesn't fall within your module descriptor. So it would just be an extra module that would cost you more and take some of your attention and wouldn't actually account towards your degree. So I wouldn't really advise it, and it would have to be online. So it's in reality, it doesn't really work, or people don't do it. Is it possible to take more elective modules? Unfortunately, no, it's not. Again, it would just be additional cost, not going towards your degree program. So it doesn't make any sense. Okay. If my work hours increase, is it possible to reduce the academic workload? I've already talked about that, so I don't need to answer that again. What jobs could this program allow me to enter? Well, that really depends. I think I've sort of talked about that earlier on. If you're within the aviation sector, so if you're in an airline or something like that, and you're just looking to move up that management, like if you're already in there, it should help you move more senior and help you progress. If you're not, so let's say you're a pilot trying to transition into business, it should help you transition into a role around strategy, a role around business development, potentially a role around human resources. And if you were looking to transition into another industry, probably very similar as well, okay? Or something along the lines of consulting, okay, could fall in there too. What is the total fee? So the total fee for the program is €12,500. That is everything included, and it's paid across the 2 years. Okay, so when you're offered your place, you're asked to pay a €500 deposit to secure your place, and then after that, the remaining fees are divided according to the modules you're doing per semester. So you've got 4 semesters, so it'll be 4 payments apart from the deposit. And you receive an invoice kind of in the first couple of weeks of the semester, and then you have a couple of weeks to pay it. If you defer a module or a semester early on in the semester like that, your fees are deferred too. So it's sort of a pay as you earn model. Is there any funding available? There is funding for 1 or 2 students, partial funding. So I think it's 10% of the degree. And that would be provided by SkillNet Aviation. So it's not provided by MTU, it's external to MTU. You would need to apply to SkillNet Aviation. Once you apply, we will send you that information. SkillNet Aviation have a couple of criteria. So you have to be working in the aviation industry, and you personally are based in Ireland, okay? Or you're working for a company, an aviation company based in Ireland, okay? So that is on a first come, first served basis. So, once you apply, if you think you meet your criteria or you want to investigate it, we would encourage you to do that as quickly as possible. Okay, I don't have, neither myself or MTU have any say on who gets that. It is SkillNet Aviation who do that. Unfortunately, there's no additional funding. There are no additional fees or costs throughout the program. There's no additional costs for exams. Any resources or material like books, etc., that are recommended should be available through our library. And there's no reason to come to us in person unless you want to. I think you won't have to purchase any textbooks. I've already answered. The assessment format is continuous assessment. There's parts of this are very focused on the aviation industry and other parts that aren't, which I've talked about already. But I personally think it's a lovely balance. And what is the application process? The application process is quite simple, okay? Just before I talk about that, I might say the criteria is you need a level 8 major award in any area, in any degree. So it could be engineering, it could be business. I had somebody recently apply and they were a primary school teacher qualification, okay? And that will count. If you don't have a level 8, I've had some people apply looking to RPL, recognized prior learning. You have to have potentially other qualifications or kind of significant business aviation experience. You need to contact me personally and tell me your story and send me your CV to investigate whether that's an option, okay? You must have English proficiency that meets the standard in the university policy. And I've just kind of talked about the recognised prior learning. So to apply, you go to MTU's application portal, complete the application form, upload the following documents, an up-to-date CV, list all employment details, date, all qualifications, identification. And if you have any qualifications, especially your level 8, we do need to see the certificate and a transcript of results. And potentially any evidence of other relevant training or work experience. And there will potentially be an interview. That won't be the case for everybody, but potentially an interview will be called depending on the number of applicants and experience people have. If you have any questions, you can email me at any stage directly. As I said at the start, my name is Rena Flood and my address is rena.flood@mtu.ie. I'm just wondering, does anybody have any questions? Anybody's on the line? If you want to pop them into the chat or into the Q&A and I can answer them there. That's a lot of information. Sorry, let's see. What is the deadline for the application, please, is being asked. So the deadline for the application is the end of August. So we currently have a plan to have the application process opened until the end of August, so the 31st of August. I will say, however, it's a limited number of spaces, okay? So if we fill that, potentially we'll have closed the application beforehand. I would say that that's doubtful. So I'd say that you're fine. But again, if you're considering, and I would say the sooner you apply, the better. Okay. Are there any further questions? It doesn't seem like there's any further question, guys. So I'm going to leave it there. If another question pops in before I say goodbye, I'll address it. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me this afternoon. I really appreciate it. I hope I've answered any queries or doubts that you had about the program. And like I said, if you have any queries, please just contact me directly, rena.flood@mtu.ie, or you know, if you go through the website, you'll probably find my contact or a contact for the department, etc. Okay, I'm going to say thank you very much, guys, and goodbye.